This is the Mental Mettle Podcast, where we explore how to forge mental toughness and resilience in every aspect of life. Welcome, I'm your host, Coach Matt Toman. I'm an ICF certified professional coach with a background as a teacher, basketball coach, and athletic director. But my journey took a dramatic turn in 2020 when I survived both cancer and a stroke. Those experiences shaped my mission to help others grow stronger in every facet of life. Today, I work with athletes, coaches, educators, and anyone who believes that positive mental health is both achievable and a personal responsibility. This podcast is dedicated to helping listeners develop a positive version of toughness, one rooted in resilience, focus, and growth. Whether you're looking to excel on the field, in the classroom, or in life, this is your space to learn, grow, and take action. Join me on this journey, and together, let's forge your mettle. A paragon is a model of excellence, a standard by which others are measured, which makes it a perfect word for Olympians who embody dedication, resilience, and the very peak of physical and mental performance. With that in mind, we want to highlight our partners at the American Paragons Foundation. They're a nonprofit supporting Team USA athletes in underfunded women's and adaptive sports by helping them with career opportunities, media exposure, and real-world support beyond competition. Here at the Mental Mettle Podcast, we are proud to be collaborating with them and help amplify the stories and missions of athletes who deserve more visibility. Check out AmericanParagons.org to learn more. There are a ton of ways you can get involved that don't cost a dime. Okay, first things first, I need your help. Here at the Mental Mettle Podcast, I need you to like, share, subscribe. And it's not just, it's not something I say just to say it because that's what we're supposed to say here on a podcast. There's a direct correlation between people sharing my stuff and me being able to share my message with individual athletes, coaches, and schools. There's one episode in particular in which a gentleman tuned in, got shared to him, and he listened to an athlete that he knew. He got me in to work with the Regional Office of Education. Next thing you know, I'm working probably as a result of that, probably working with 7 or 8 different schools. That's me getting in with coaches. That's me getting in with the athletes. That's even me getting in and work with the educators. That doesn't happen. This growth in my business, and not just for me, but for who I get to help, and this idea of positive psychology and helping people develop mental toughness, that doesn't happen without me putting out the podcast, but I have to have people share it, watch it, give it with others, show it with others, like, share, subscribe, all those things. So just before we get going, I just want to keep reminding you, please share. I have yet to figure out the exact formula on why one episode does more than another, but I know that it only takes the right share at one spot for me able to get in to make connections with different people. So, and then have it grow and mean it's because of that one episode. I would tell you that I've worked with hundreds, if not thousands, of athletes, coaches, and teachers, all because of one episode that happened. And it wasn't a special episode. It just happened because the right person saw it. So continue to share it for me, and I would appreciate that. And I think that today's episode is going to be a really good one. It's going to be really cool because I'm based here in Central Illinois, and my guest today is a Central Illinois native, but a lot of my guests are Central Illinois native. But Gabi Jacobs, I didn't connect with her because she's a Central Illinois native. I connected with her through Shane Fisher, the American Paragons Foundation, which I support. I'm a partner with. They support a lot of underfunded Olympians and Paralympians. And Shane Fisher gave me the name of Gabi Jacobs, and I started doing some research, and we'll talk about this on the show. But Gabi's from Normal U High over in Normal, Illinois, and real close to where I am. And Gabi has gone on from there to become a 3-time SEC champion in women's discus and continues to compete and is now an Olympic hopeful coming up for the LA Games in 28. That's her goal. So just a lot of reasons she's really cool to talk to, but Gabi is also has her master's in positive coaching. So she is just this phenomenal blend, just like a perfect guest for me because she's highly, highly decorated in her sport, but she also has training to understand the mental part of it more than somebody who doesn't just have, the experience. She's got experience and the training. So when Gabi and I sit down and start talking about the importance of enjoying the process and loving the process and picking small goals and having that be your focus, and how at times you need to step away to regain clarity, to move forward, to regain your love for your sport. It's not like it's coming from a couple angles. It's coming from somebody who's had a lot of experience and somebody a lot of training. So that makes it just a phenomenal guest for me. And you're going to see that talking with Gabi here. She's fantastic. Love this episode. I'm going to break down a couple things when we're on the other side, but for now, enjoy this episode with USA thrower Gabi Jacobs, formerly of Normal U High. If you are a parent of an athlete, I want you to hear this. You are already your kid's most powerful mental performance coach. It's not me. It's not their strength coach. It's not their varsity coach. It's you. The way you talk in the minivan, at the dinner table, and after games is literally wiring your athlete's brain for either confidence or anxiety. That is a lot of pressure, and it's kind of daunting. And that's why I created my free email course called the Resilient Parents Playbook. In it, I walk you through the 5 most common mistakes we make as sports parents, and I give you simple, practical tools to fix them. You'll learn how to praise effort and attitude instead of just results, how to handle the car ride home, and how to help your kid manage nerves and pressure in a healthy way. It's completely free. Just hit the link in the show notes and grab the Resilient Parents Playbook and start becoming the kind of mental coach your athlete actually needs at home. All right, here we go, Gabi. It's the Mental Mettle Podcast, and I'm your host, Coach Matt Tillman, and you're my guest here today, Gabi Jacobs. Gabi, you are on Team USA throwing women's discus, and I find that pretty exciting. So thank you for joining me. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm glad to be here.
So the first thing, we're going to talk about some of your history and some of the places you've thrown and competed and done, and that's just so cool, and some of your accolades, which are definitely worth noting. But I got connected with you through Shane Fisher through the American Paragons Foundation, which is something I'm starting to do more of. I'm speaking and with a lot of U.S. athletes, which is really awesome. And the first thing I do when Shane sends me something, I go to the gram, I find the Instagram, and the first thing I did is I noticed that some people that I already know are following you, and I thought, well, that's interesting. Why do these people follow Gabi? Not because you're not awesome, but you know what I'm saying, right? Like, what's the connection?
Absolutely.
And so I do my virtual creeping and find out that you went to high school at Normal U High, which is 20 miles from where I live now, and close to where I've coached and worked for a long time. So we could talk about a lot of things Bloomington-Normal if we wanted to, although I don't know how exciting that is for you.
I don't know. I mean, I think people find, they're like, Bloomington-Normal? Is that one place? And I'm like, well, it's 2 cities, but they're not divided by anything, just an imaginary line. And yeah, the name of the second city is Normal, but it's really far from normal.
It's no, it's awesome to have that connection and just know that I love. It's really going to be really cool. I would say that my audience is growing a little bit, but I know that probably most the largest part of my audience is from the Illinois area, so they're going to be able to look at this and be like, oh, hey, we got a local product jumping on the show, not from being a local product, but from, that got to me from somebody else. And I love how the world throws that at us, and just it's a real cool connection, Gabi.
Absolutely. It's always connected.
Yeah. So you leave Normal U High, and did you go straight to Mizzou for college?
I did. Yeah, I went straight to Mizzou right after I graduated.
Okay. Why early age? Why discus? Or did you do other stuff in track, or what led you to what led you to throwing the disc?
Yeah, so I started doing track and field in seventh grade. And honestly, I realized that it was the perfect opportunity to still hang out with my friends, but not necessarily have to make plans and make my parents drag me places. So I decided to get involved in the sport because I thought it would be really fun to connect with my friends after hours in that way. It just happened that a lot of my friends threw discus and shot put. They also ran, but there was the main focus on throwing. And so we ended up kind of just all hanging out after hours. And, I made it to state my first year in seventh grade. And then I was like, wow, I like this. Besides, just hanging out with my friends, I think that it's kind of cool to win a medal or two while I'm at it.
No, it's so funny because I do think that a lot of kids get into track for that reason. It's a very social aspect. Your team you got your tent, everybody's hanging out, doing all these things, and it's funny because my son, he did track for like a year and hated it because of that. Like he was like, "This is too much wasted time." Like it's not that he doesn't like people, but he was like, "This is a waste of time. I could be going and doing something else." But for the people that are like very gregarious and like to hang out with people and do stuff, it's a great sport for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah, go ahead.
yeah, well, I was gonna say continue the story of past middle school, but then, same thing. I got to high school and just wanted to see how I could continue to progress in the sport. There really wasn't any thought, especially like my freshman, sophomore, really honestly, my junior year, about doing it in college. I was a multi-sport athlete when I was in both middle school and in high school, but high school I focused on volleyball and track and field. And then I would torture myself by running cross country runs in the morning in the summer, so I'd stay in shape for volleyball. And so I was just kind of doing something always. And I had more thoughts about maybe I could go to a lower D1 school for volleyball, but really hadn't thought about track and field. And of course, that going into like my junior year, I started getting college letters, coaches reaching out to me, and I was like, whoa, I didn't even think about this. This. I
Yeah.
guess this could be cool too. Um, and also just wanted to see myself be successful past the high school point, and just kind of lock in on just throwing. Because still at that point in high school, I was somehow getting on the 4x1 relay. Uh, don't ask me how, but they still wanted me to run. So I was balancing that between throwing, and then that led me here to Mizzou.
Yeah, it's I always find when we talk about recruiting and getting into a college, like track and field and like cross country, I always feel like if you're a college coach and doing recruiting, that's a pretty easy, like all you got to do is look at times and distances, right? Like if
Yeah.
like they can look at what you're doing and kind of project and say, "Oh, she's going to be good enough."
hmm Yeah. Yeah. No, it is remarkable to think about college recruiting, and also just looking at like there's so many layers to high school athletes, and whether they have experience with somebody that's coached them the proper technique in high school, or if you see
Right.
this person, they're like brute strength, throwing pretty far, but their technique's not quite there. And it's like, oh, well, there's just untouched area for this athlete, so much potential. I think it is truly a fascinating piece of college athletics to recruit high school athletes and just like basically gamble.
No, yeah, it is because you're right. That's assuming that somebody has been coached and actually throws actually like does the event. But I guess a good recruiter would go, "Hey, this is kid's an athlete and they've never even tried this. We could probably turn them into something."
Yeah, yeah.
That's interesting. At, and when we talk about being multi-sport, man, there's probably not many kids out there that are like just multi-sport track, right? Like
Hmm.
usually it's like they're doing another sport and then track is like, oh, we'll just do that in the spring or I'll just throw in the spring or something like that. But for the most part, there's very few that are just like, oh, I'm just a track athlete. At least at the smaller schools. I guess maybe larger high schools, maybe not.
Yeah, no, man, even in my experience when I was in high school, almost every track and field athlete did some other sport. I can't even think of one person that only did track
Yeah.
and field.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's because I think there is a huge benefit physically and mentally for playing multiple sports. Sometimes that gets some coaches don't like that. They argue over it, but most track and field coaches know that they of course they do other stuff. So it's just a no brainer,
Yeah,
which is
yeah.
interesting. It's just a different perspective, that's for sure. So you're talking about you finally decide, yeah, but it had to like get out of hand pretty quick to say I'm getting a couple of letters to all of a sudden to go, oh, I'm going to the SEC to throw. You know what I'm saying? Like that's like that's high level, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, honestly, it cracks me up. I think about it honestly quite often if I am just like mapping out the journey in my head. Um, I had no clue. As a high school student, um, I really did kind of lack in my research. Besides looking at education, I knew a little bit about Mizzou, a little bit about the throwing history. I knew that they had just entered the SEC or were going to. Um, but I took two official visits, um, one at ISU, one at Mizzou. Was like, I really like Mizzou after that, and I decided to come here. Um, yeah, and I
You, you,
sometimes I look
it's
back at my college letters and I just laugh because there's like LSU, Alabama, Minnesota, just like all these powerhouse schools that I could have taken a visit at, and I just was
just
like,
just to
nope,
go
I'm good
see
with
it,
this.
right? Yeah. Well, it's really interesting. What's really interesting is I think one of the things that gets kids in trouble is when they're in high school and they're looking to where they're going to go and or they have a sport that they just have loved since they were a little kid. The expectations start to build, right? And you start to compare yourself to others. And you're like, oh, can I play with this? Can I play with these people? Can I play at this sport? Can I do this? Can I go to this school? And you're going into, by the time, I mean, you end up going to the SEC, a Power Five school, and you don't even think it's a possibility until your junior, senior year. And it's not like, so you have no expectations.
Yeah.
Well, but I'm saying this like it might have been a good thing.
Yeah. No, oh, absolutely. Uh, Definitely think that, like, just my parents never putting any pressure on me, especially my dad. Um, he's the perfect candidate for a person that could have put pressure on me. He's been a track and field cross country
Mm-hmm.
coach for over 30 years at my high school. So he's had many kids come through his program that have excelled at the high school level, that have gone on to compete at the college level. And, he knows just from the experience that, oh, yeah, I think my daughter can also do this, and never, ever pressured me in any way, always encouraged me. and just kind of let me find my own way. And I think that that is truly very special to think about with my high school experience and having just a pure mindset of there's no expectations. I want to throw far. That's it.
Right. I think that I love that because I do think that's, I mean, there's a lot of people that would think that, oh, if you don't have these high expectations, you're not going to reach high goals. And I don't know that that's, I don't know. I get what they say, you know, because you got to, you know, shoot for the stars and all this. And I
Hmm.
get that, but I also see it break a lot of kids too. So I don't think it's a all or nothing. Like, oh, you either have the, if you can't, like, if you have to have these expectations or you'll never reach great things. I, I'd rather you just find to enjoy the process and have a little bit of grit and actually just keep working and see where it ends up. I,
Yeah.
it, there's something to be said for it because, okay, we're going to look back at your timeline, Gabby, and I'm doing my own math here, right? So you go from it's a junior in high school before you realize, oh, I could go to a high level school and throw the disc. And you must have figured it out pretty quick because you ended up being a 3-time Division I All-American at Mizzou. So in a couple of years, you went from, I don't even know this is a thing, to being really, really good at it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, that's unbelievable.
I mean, truly the piece is exactly what you just talked about. I'm loving the process. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I think that that was instilled in me from the beginning here at my time at Mizzou. And, it's just like, yeah, we have big, lofty goals that I, I can't even remember what one of my goals was, but I think one of them was like break the NCAA record in women's discus. That'd be so cool. But then I have to think about, okay, well, how do I get there? How do I
Mm-hmm.
reasonably get there? And then step back from there and think about, okay, well, what do I need to do every day to make an impact by the end of the week? What do I do every week to make an impact by the end of the month? And what do I do monthly to make an impact on my whole season? And laying it out like that and knowing that I have this big lofty goal that I want to accomplish, but really focusing on the nitty gritty things and having those small goals, those tangible goals, um, and realistic goals, I think is what got me to, oh, this is still a really phenomenal resume for a college athlete to say that I was a 3-time first team All American or I was a 3-time SEC champion. There are a lot of people that don't get to say that. And I know that it was those small steps and goals that I focused on that got me to that point.
Your athlete probably spends hours working on the specific skill set they need for their sport. And they probably spend hours in the weight room building their body. But how much time do they spend intentionally training their mind? Well, building mindset is the key to bridging the gap between the skills that we see and game execution. Well, Mental Mettle Coaching provides individual programs that can help your athlete develop this third and crucial skill set. Well, you hang around with way too many phenomenal athletes when you say a lot of people don't, most people don't get to say that, Gabby. Like that's like it's most people, very few get to say that. I love what you said there because I work with a lot of individual young athletes and a lot of them do basketball and they're always chasing that scholarship and they'll tell me that that's a goal. And I'm like, that's a fine goal. It's a great goal, but that can't be your goal every day when you walk into practice because that's overwhelming and it doesn't do anybody any good. So when you talk about looking backwards and finding every step that it's going to take to get there and then just focusing on the next step, that's where you make the money right there. Like
Yeah.
that's how you do it. How did you find, is that something, having that daily focus and understanding that daily focus, is that something you felt like you've always had? Did that get instilled? Who kind of, you mentioned some of your coaches and your dad, but who kind of instilled that in you that said, hey, this is how you do this, is you just focus on what's in front of you?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I would have to credit the Mizzou coaching staff. From the first year that I was here, um, setting goals was very important. We took, I would say, at least a team meeting or two to focus on your own personal goals for the upcoming season. And then we'd take another meeting or two to focus on team goals. And I think that I want to say that I got it at the very beginning, but I know for sure by my sophomore year, I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I understand
Yeah.
what it means to create a SMART goal, and what it means to have, oh, I have daily goal, a weekly goal, but then these are the three tasks that I have to do to achieve that goal, and just laying it out and taking the sheet with me wherever I went, keeping it in my notebook. So I like to take daily notes on my training, um, and just looking at that and seeing, okay, am I actually doing the things that I said that I need to do daily to get to this one goal?
Mm.
And so that's something that we focused on every year. And ever since it first got instilled in my kind of routine, I've used it every year with every coach. You know, in the sport, outside of the sport, I think that it's an approach that definitely has added a lot of value to my life.
Yeah, it's clearly worked for you. I'm curious, what level of looking back do you look at your goals and like check them off and almost give yourself I guess a pat on the back, but to look and say, hey, that was a goal, I accomplished that, even if it's small. Like how much of the process is that? Because I find that we don't always do that well, and I think we should. And I'm just curious where you what you think about that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I think that, and that's actually something that I would love to do a better job at, is celebrating the small wins.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're right, we don't celebrate the small wins. It's always about, did we get that big win at the end of the year? But there's so many small things that we win at throughout the year that we don't celebrate.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes, if I step back, if I'm feeling overwhelmed, I can step back and I can just think through things, and and then I'll just start celebrating the small wins. Um, where it's like, right now I'm kind of in that space, thinking about that a lot. I had a knee injury towards the end of last season that just kind of hindered me from doing what I really wanted to do throughout the
Yeah.
rest of the season, and really just compete the way that I wanted to. And, it's starting to creep up into training for this season. And I had to step back. I had to figure out what was going on. And a couple of weeks ago, I was just overwhelmed or stressed that, like, I'm not going to be performing where I need to be at. And then I was like, whoa, 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 whoa. You don't need to think like that.
No.
The season, the season is long, first of all. USA's isn't until the end of July. Arguably, that is like my that's the me I want to really excel at. I want to excel at all of them, but that's the one I really, want to feel my best at. How do I just step back and be like, okay, I identified what the problem is. Now I'm moving on to, okay, I get a shot, and then I work on PT, and then I work on strength training again. And then there's all these steps that I can accomplish to get back to this space where I'm throwing at that
Mhm.
high level again. But I just have to step myself back from wanting this big thing to, okay, I'm here. I'm so happy that I found out what's wrong. now we're trying to address it in this way, and just like moving through it, but like using that goals and the small wins idea through every step of my way, whether it's throwing at a competition and analyzing that, or looking at my whole season, or looking at injuries. It plays a huge factor in how I can mentally be positive about all the things that I'm doing.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, if we talk about all these little steps you have to take, and if we use some sort of metaphor of like, we're climbing a mountain. Yeah, the best view might be from the mountain at the end, but there's a lot of views on the way up to can say, "Oh, look how far I've come," and I
Hmm.
think we have to do that. And sometimes injuries are the perfect example. Like you get thrown off, but it doesn't change the process, right? So, like, yes, I got stopped. Things have changed, but now I have a new goal, and this is my
Hmm.
new goal, and I need to do this, and I need to work towards this. I mean, none of this, no success. I don't care if it's discus or whatever sport you want or business or life. None of it happens in a vacuum, right? Things are going to get thrown your way. So having that be understanding that process of setting goals, reaching them, and then kind of giving yourself a pat on the back is like it's good for everything,
Hmm.
and we need to do it. So,
Yeah.
man, I love the way you say that, Gabby. So let's talk about. I'm really interested in something that you mentioned to me that you actually took, despite all this success you had at Mizzou. At some point, you took a 2 year hiatus from throwing the disc. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
I need to explain. I want you to give as much as detail as you can on why and how you made that decision, and then also the decision to come back and what you like. There's so I could. We probably should have started talking about this sooner because I'm really excited about this. Let's start with why you made that decision. Why to step away?
Yeah. So I graduated from, just a little bit of backstory. I graduated from Mizzou in 2019. I ended up being a graduate assistant in the athletic weight room, working on getting my master's, but then also had the chance to focus on training, and still be in that same environment for the most part. And then, of course, COVID happened, and
Mm,
that kind of just shifted things because I only needed a year to finish that master's program. So I was done with it by the end of the summer of 2020, and kind of needed to shift into, oh man, I need a full-time job, or a part-time job. And I was holding two part-time jobs while full-time training, and going to competitions, and it was just fine. And I actually ended up getting moving into a different position with a different organization, um, the April of 2021. So that's just like the beginning of the season. It's Olympic trials year. I'm 3 months out from the Olympic trials in Eugene. And it was just kind of a stressful time, especially since I'm getting thrown into a new job, but I really want to do well in this
yeah.
sport because I know what I can do, um, and I think, yeah, 2021 I got to the finals, but it was just like kind of a heartbreaking ending to it where I fouled out during the finals. So I just also mentally was battling with that, and just like the performance that I had.
Mm,
And so, on top of that, and not really working through it, and also being in this new position, which demanded much more of me than any other position had, um, I decided that I need to give up track and field. I'm not enjoying the sport anymore. It feels like a chore. Um, I know what it takes to compete at a high level, and I
Yeah.
know that I'm not giving all the time or energy that I need to be good at this sport. And I basically decided that I would rather quit than not be able to perform at my best. Um, and so that ultimately was the reason why I ended up quitting the sport. And then 2 years later,
Well, it's a pretty
I,
honorable way to do it. You
yeah,
know what I mean? To understand that like this takes so much time and effort, and I can't. I mean, at that point, by the time you've been 3-time All American, you know what it takes, and you knew you didn't have the mental or physical capacity to give it. Definitely better off than if you'd have just said, I'll kind of halfway it. Like that would not have worked. So kudos to that. I guess I get that.
thank you. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, that it wouldn't have gone well.
no, it would not have. And I think that would have set me back even further. And
Yeah.
definitely put me in a mental headspace that I don't know if I would have ever been able to come out of that and actually come back to the sport.
Now, did you quit thinking I can come back?
No,
Well, that then
not at
that
all.
I'm interested what prompted you, because it does, you know what I mean? Like there's when you're in tip top shape at whatever, it's great, but once you get out of it, it's hard to get back. It's really, as you'll probably attest to. But I'm just
Yeah.
curious what you gave me the word reborn. Like you felt like you restarted reborn. I'm curious about that rebirth and what prompted that and what that entails.
Yeah. So basically for, 2 years, I kind of just focused on a career. And also I basically just did whatever I wanted with my time. And um, that looks a lot different from being a high level performing athlete. Um, and there was 2023, and I decided to throw on the SEC championships and watch it. And I was like, oh, this is like exhilarating. It's like just I I don't know. I just felt um, uh, not reborn from that, but just so excited about the sport. And that was the first time that I felt pretty excited about the sport. Um, and then I continued to watch USA's, and then I ended up watching the 2023 Worlds was in Eugene. No, I might be wrong. Budapest. Yeah, 2023 was in
Okay.
Budapest.
Same thing,
And
right? Yeah, same thing.
and yeah, Eugene,
Yeah.
Budapest.
Eugene, Budapest. Yeah.
But I ended up watching that, and I started seeing people that I competed with performing at the top level. And that really just struck something in me of like, oh, like I miss this. Like I miss seeing these people. I miss competing with them. I miss pushing myself to pass the limit and then a little bit more. And then recovering and doing it again. And I ended up actually texting my friend, and I was just like, hey, do you do you think if I started throwing again, it would like all work out? And he was like, yeah, I mean, why not? Just just try doing it again. And I was like, okay. Um, and that wasn't enough like verbal encouragement for me to actually do it. So then I called my dad, um, and because I just really trust his wisdom and everything he has to
Yeah.
say, especially when it comes to sport. And so I asked him, I've been really thinking about like track and field and throwing again, and I think that I would like to do it. What do you have any advice on that thought? And basically he said, start doing it again. If you're having fun and you enjoy it, then keep doing it. If it doesn't bring you joy, then it's okay to stop.
I mean, again, no expectations.
And here I am, enjoying it.
Yeah. I mean, what is the time off taught you?
Oh. I think that, oh man, that's such a good question because I haven't really thought about it.
I mean,
But I'm thinking
so
about it
as you know,
now, which is great.
well, I'm gonna talk for a minute while you think about it. So I'm giving you a reprieve here. That question that I just gave you, like I'm not just a podcast coach. I'm a mental performance coach, and sometimes my questions overmix. And that question I just asked you very much felt like a mental performance coach question, and I could tell by your response. Like, it's funny when somebody gives that reaction that you just gave, I know that I hit home with a question, right?
Yeah.
So that's like, for me, that's just for you. That is my version of you throwing a really good throw. That's like when I give a question and you go, and you start looking at the ceiling, then I'm like, okay, that's a good question, right?
Yeah.
In the coaching world, that's a really good question because it's provoking thought and insight, and that's what. If you're so, I've stalled enough. Do you have an answer for me?
Yeah, no, I think that time off, specifically from the sport, really gave me a new love for it. It made me really think about, why do I do it? Why do I care about it? I think that before I took time off from the sport, my head was in this space where it's like, okay, I'm going to qualify for the Olympics team. I'm going to make it on the Olympic team, and then I'm going to get sponsored, and I'm going to get paid, and then I don't have to work this job, and I don't have to work that job. And none of it was about me. None of it was about what I care about. And I think taking the time away to really separate myself from that being the reason why I wanted to continue in the sport, shed a new light, made me feel like I was reborn into the sport and realize that, oh no, if I want to be good at this sport, I have to love it and I have to want it for me. And at the end of the day, I want to see how successful I can be at it. And it doesn't matter if I'm sponsored by a clothing company or if I have all the support in the world money wise. What matters to me is that, do I have the time in my life to create, to practice, to recover, to fuel my body properly, and do it over and over and over again so that at the end of the day, I can go to a meet and perform how I think I can because I believe in myself.
Coaches, do you dream of guiding mentally tough athletes towards a championship? Kids that are resilient, persistent, and unshaken by setbacks. Well, in today's world, those athletes aren't born. They have to be developed. Many athletes face significant challenges and risk burnout. So how do we foster that mental toughness without overwhelming them? Well, introducing the Ember to Inferno program, Building Mentally Tough Athletes. This series is designed specifically for coaches, offering a deep dive into your own journey of mental toughness and equipping you with practical tools to build confidence and belief in your athletes. Rather than just simply adding more adversity to their life, we focus on creating a strong foundation for mental resilience. You'll learn how to transform a spark of motivation into a blazing fire of toughness, using techniques that address challenges like social media pressures, athletic stress, and trauma. Don't just wish for mentally tough athletes, build them. Join the Ember to Inferno program today and ignite the potential in your athletes. For more information, contact me, Coach Toman, at Mental Mettle Coaching. So I got to ask though, like, when you make that decision, like it, you had a career, had a job. Does it? I mean, you have, like, in order to do what you want to do, does that mean you got to change gears? Don't you?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah,
Mm.
I think I got it, I feel like to be a top level performer, you gotta sell yourself. Um,
I mean,
uh,
yeah,
and you have to be really confident in it as well. Um, I knew that I wanted to perform at a high level, and I just, went to my boss and I said, "Hey, um, I want to start doing track and field again, and I want to start doing it seriously, which means I might have to shift around my work schedule so that I can go lift at this time because that's the only time that I can lift. I might have to come in a little earlier to practice at an earlier time, do all of these things. I might have to work on the road instead of being in the office, so that I can go to meets for extended amount of days. And I was very fortunate. I was already
yeah,
established in this job since 2021, and they trusted me both in my position as an employee to fulfill on what they needed, but then also to give me the time and the space and the flexibility to also compete at a very high level at something that I'm passionate about and want to accomplish in my life. Um, and so I think that that's something that I take with me now everywhere that I go. I don't work at that job anymore, and I work, at a different job that I've held part time for 5.5 years now. Um, but I'm just part time there, and I've said that this is really important to me. I will clearly communicate with you whenever I'm just like I have to go to certain meets or be away. And if I have to find covers, I'll try to find covers and do all of these
yeah,
things. Um, but yeah, I want to see myself be successful at this. So I just take that confidence with me wherever I'm going, so that I can be in the place that I want to be.
yeah. It's there's so many moving parts there because it is like you said. You maybe you want to get a sponsorship and do this, but it's not again. I don't know. I didn't until I talked to Shane about some of this Paragon stuff that like we just start to see people that do athletics is at a kind of like a pro level. You just kind of group them all together, but it's not the same
No,
whatsoever. Like it what like a football player or somebody in the NFL or NBA. That's a different level of monetary compensation than being an Olympic athlete. They're not even close.
absolutely.
Um, so it's and that was something I had to walk through talking to people that this is a when you say you have to have the passion and the love to do it, that is not a that is an absolute truth because there's sacrifice that goes with it. It's easy for an NBA guy to say, "Well, I got passion for the game." Well, you also get millions of dollars,
Hmm.
so it's those are hard to tease apart sometimes. But with you, but with you, it's like there's a sacrifice that comes with it that tells me I know that you've got the passion for it because you wouldn't do it otherwise.
Yeah.
That has to instill some confidence because this is I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Oh yeah, for sure. I like there and I learned this over time that you just have to have a healthy amount of confidence in yourself. Like you do have to be
Oh,
overly confident to just be like, I, at the end of the day, I could throw 59 meters, or I could go in and I could throw 65 plus meters, but I know, and I always know that I could perform at 70 plus meters. And just like
hmm,
having that confidence day in, day out is what keeps you in the sport.
yeah. So talk to me about where you are now and what your goal is. And when you're throwing these numbers, those of us that don't throw the disc all the time, like I mean, you've got a fairly high world ranking, and you're looking at the Olympics coming up. Is that am I spot on with that? That's the goal, and that's what we're working towards.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Um, I definitely would love to stay in the sport even after the Olympics year because the 2029 year is another World Championships year. Um,
Okay.
but currently, I am still training here in Columbia, Missouri, and I work with Coach Dane Miller. He's owner of Garage Strength, which is based out of Fleetwood, Pennsylvania, for anybody that knows that small area of Pennsylvania. But we work with each other, and he's been my coach now for about a year and a half. And yeah, I train, I go to work, and I sleep, eat, and I do it all over and over and over again.
Yeah, it's all part of it's part of the process. What a great name, Garage Strength. That's a great. I mean, he nailed it with that one. I love that one. So we're about running out of time here. It's been a phenomenal conversation. So I'm just going to hit you with my last question that I ask everybody as the last question, and that is, what is the question that I didn't ask you that I should have? Like, you thought, like the question you thought, oh, he's probably going to ask me this that I haven't, or something that you're like, we didn't talk about that I should have. What's the question I didn't ask you that I probably should have, Gabi?
Hmm. Well, you stumped me really good.
I know.
Um, hmm. Yeah, I think you're stumping me again, which is a good sign.
That's okay. It's
No,
okay. We're
I
making
think
you think a little bit, and that's a good thing.
this is a phenomenal conversation. I don't know if I shared this with you actually, but I have my master's is in positive coaching. So I also
Oh, that's
know
fantastic.
quite a bit about
Oh,
positive psychology. Um,
that's fantastic.
and
Well, now I'm going to say we got to get you back on a different time because that's awesome. What's really interesting here is now I'm going to ask my question is, now that I know that you have a background in that, do I sound like I know what I'm talking about?
oh yeah, for sure. I loved a lot of the little things that you brought up, especially, thinking about small wins, and also just thinking about like time away. Um, those were two very phenomenal topics to talk about, and um, something that I wouldn't even, think about bringing up right off the bat. So,
You know, what's really interesting. I mean, I think let's take a young kid who's in a sport and we get so, what's the word? Enamored with it, or we think everything has to be right now. And obviously some kids that's in high school can't take 2 years off because that you can't do that. But we think, oh, you got to get, and you got to work every day to do this. But sometimes when you start to get burnt out or something like this, taking a weekend off and
hmm
re-examining what you're doing and why you're doing it, rather than just beating your head against the wall, it gives us so much insight sometimes, and being like, okay, I need to step back and realize why I do what I do and really enjoy it. And we don't always give kids and athletes a chance to do that. So that's why I really wanted to ask you about that.
yeah, yeah, no, I think that's great because was thinking about that a couple of weeks ago. I went back home and you know, finally got to meet at least one of the girls that will probably break my high school record. Um,
Really?
yeah, which is so cool and so strange at the same time. But
Yeah.
definitely more cool than strange. And
Yeah.
just talking to them, being like, just enjoy it, have fun, don't think about it too much. Don't make your goal to break my record because you're not going to do it because you're going to focus on that too much. Just
Yep.
just take every day step by step and you've got it.
Yeah. So I got to ask, when you come back to the Blono area, like what's the first, I know you're probably in training, but like where's the nostalgia place you got to go get some grub?
Oh man. Oh, there's a lot.
I'm sure.
My
I'm sure.
favorites, for sure, is in Uptown Normal. There's this place called the Rock Restaurant, and it
Yep.
is a Mediterranean
It's
menu. But
fantastic. I love The Rock.
yeah, I love the Rock.
Absolutely. You know
Hamburger
what? I
gyro.
haven't been there for a while. Now I'm like, ooh, my wife's going to listen to this and she's like, we haven't been, because we moved away and we came back. She's going to be like, we haven't gone since we came back. So that's really cool. I'm glad I
Yeah,
asked.
that is one of my favorites. I actually took a senior photo in front of the business.
Nice. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's
Yeah,
fantastic. Yeah. Because it was that big a deal, right?
it was that big of a deal. Yeah.
Maybe now you're looking now we're talking sponsorship here. Now we're talking. Hey, I've already got pictures. We can do a before and after, right?
For
So,
sure.
oh, that's fantastic. All right, Gabi, thank you so much for coming on the show. It's been an absolutely phenomenal conversation, and I just wish you the best. But I know that it'll work out like it's supposed to because you're putting in the grind and you enjoy it, and that's probably A and B right there, right? Love
Yeah.
it and work hard, and everything else will, at least regardless of how it works out, you end and go, I enjoyed it, and that's what
Yeah.
matters. So, oh, beautiful. Thank you so much, Gabi.
Thank you for having me on here, Matt. Really enjoyed the conversation. And hopefully look forward to another conversation sometime.
We will. I'll have to now. Yeah. All right. Thank you, Gabi.
Thank you.
Welcome to Mental Mettle Coaching, where our mission is to help you learn to thrive in the face of adversity, not just survive it. We are passionate about empowering you to live, play, and work with a resilient and spirited mindset. Hi, I'm Matt Tillman. I'm an ICF professional coach and keynote speaker. My background as an athlete, basketball coach, teacher, and school administrator has equipped me with the insights that resonate deeply with the schools, teams, athletes, and coaches I work with. However, it's my personal journey through anxiety, cancer, and an ischemic stroke in 2020 that truly brings authenticity to my presentations. While learning to speak and write again, I also pursued and earned my ICF coaching certification. Now the practices I embrace are more than theoretical concepts. They're a way of life. Developing a positive mindset is within reach for all, but it requires self-awareness and the repetition of intentional activities. At Mental Mettle Coaching, we'll guide you, your staff, and your students on this transformative journey. Together, let's forge your mettle. So the main two areas that I want to focus on here with that interview with Gabi are, one, learning to enjoy and love the process, and two, the importance of stepping away at times. Let's talk about that last one first. And I mentioned it in the episode. Like, if you're talking about a high school kid, they can't just step away and miss a year. That's a hard thing to do. Gabi was in a unique situation that she's done with college, and then she's getting into, professional throwing. It's means she's competing for the Olympics. I have air quotes around professional because it's not like there's a lot of money in it. In fact, it's more the opposite. But there's definitely some things to learn from the way she did that, in the sense that in the constant go, 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 go. So the way this might apply for like a high school athlete is the idea that we have to jump from one season to the next immediately, and there's no time off. And we kind of say, oh, you got to have the grind, you got to have the grit, you got to dig in, and there's no days off. And there's something to be said for that when it's for a purpose, for a reason, and it's part of our goals. But I think in your goals, there needs to be some time for you to stop, recover, reflect, and make sure why you're doing what you're doing. I mean, for Gabi, it happened because, some failure, and she just didn't enjoy it anymore and wasn't really planning on coming back. But in stepping away and kind of seeing some of that on TV and seeing it happen, she realized she had something left to give. I don't think that we get that perspective if it's always nose to the ground, grind, 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 grind. Like there's something to be said for taking that time off and getting some perspective on why you enjoy what you do. And you don't know what you have till you're gone. You don't know how much you enjoy it and when you're in the grind. And there's some look, again, I'm all for the grind, and you'll hear me talk about it on the show, and we got to get it. But I think there has to be a healthy mix, and it has to be a little bit of intentional. And I think that, Gabi probably could have benefited from um, more of a gap earlier in her time to take that time off to make sure that she understands why she was doing what she was doing, and reminding that she loved it. So that's something that I believe that as an athlete, a parent, or a coach listening to this, that you need to be aware of that, because I've been guilty of that. That like we're so concerned about gaining the next skill or the next evolution or getting to the better team and the next step that we don't stop to like smell the roses and understand why we do what we do. And a little bit of a gap can do that. Again, doesn't have to be a year off, but sometimes the best thing you could do in your training is say, I'm not going to do any of this training for a week, and I'm going to take a break, and I'm going to make sure I still feel about it like I thought I do. And that's perfectly useful and helpful. The other thing that she talked about is, and I talk about this all the time, that enjoying the process, and what's really interesting with Gabi is a lot of the goals that she reached were never really her goals. Like she didn't, because of the type of sport she was in, like she didn't grow up throwing a discus. So it wasn't like she was a 7th or 8th grader running around saying, I'm going to be an SEC champion in discus. Like she started then, but it wasn't like a goal. Like it was her goal was probably she would have loved to gone to an SEC school and played volleyball. And so she actually had that benefit, and this is going to sound weird. She had that benefit of not having a huge lofty goal. And I know that seems weird because we're like, oh, we should have lofty goals. We set these expectations to get better, but there's a breaking point, and that can make it worse. And having this goal and have this be the only thing we focus on, it actually causes some physical damage and mental damage, because we overtrain, we overpush, we causes that anxiety. And, it's just really interesting. If that had always been Gabi's goal, to be an SEC champion from the time she was like, say for whatever reason, 4th grade, if she would have done it. And it's easy to see that possibly she wouldn't have if that had been her goal. So you still have to have a process though. So she set out, how do I become the best discus thrower I can? And sound like she got some help from her Mizzou coaches, which is no surprise that a big school like this is doing a lot of this, and understanding, okay, she talked about looking backwards, saying, okay, if this is where we want to get to, when she finally decided that she did want to be an SEC champion when she was in college, okay, here's where I want to get to. Here's the top. What are the steps to get there, and start working backwards and recognizing what every little step is to get there. And then she even talked about, how do we break that down into daily goals? This is something I need to do this month. This is something I need to do this week, but what do I need to do today? And that's to me, that's mental toughness, is developing that and then sticking with it, and not being so worried about the results, but so worried about the process and what you want to do. And again, I'll say this, that like this carries more weight because Gabi not only is successful in what she did, but her training backs this up, and her master's degree backs this up. She has that experience. She has the academic training. She has the learning. All of it coalesces to say that this is what we ought to be doing, is we cannot over focus on these huge lofty goals. We have to focus on the process. And that is how things get done. And that's how we get better with things. And it's a more mentally, more physically sound way to be. And I can't thank Gabi enough for coming on. This has been a great episode. I'm so thankful for Shane Fisher, for hooking me up with all these athletes. I got more weird. I got a bunch of throwers coming on. Gabi's a thrower. I've had other throwers, and I don't know what it is, something about it, but the throwers are apparently very cerebral around this stuff and really enjoy it. So but every time I've talked to one, I have yet to talk to an Olympic athlete that isn't fairly invested in the mental strategies and the mental tools in success. And that is something that, as a high school athlete, as a college athlete, or even a junior high athlete or a coach, you should take note of that these high level athletes that are, I mean, it's one thing to be pro and make money, but these people are doing it as a passion and really want to be their best. They don't shy away from working on the mental side of it, and they're very intentional with it. And that is something for us to take notice of. And I think that's why I do the podcast. I want people to realize that this is a thing. This is what we should be doing. You need to be training that third skill set, that mental skill set, and how useful it is. So, great episode. Thank you all for listening. As I said at the beginning of the show, I need you to share, subscribe. If you like this episode, share it with somebody. You follow me on all my social medias. I'm on everything. You see it, you like it, share it, all those things. See what you can do for it. And I would really appreciate that. So thank you so much for your time. This has been the Mental Mettle Podcast. I'm your host, Coach Matt Toman, and always remember to forge your mettle. This is the Mental Mettle Podcast, where we explore how to forge mental toughness and resilience in every aspect of life. Welcome. I'm your host, Coach Matt Toman. I'm an ICF certified professional coach with a background as a teacher, basketball coach, and athletic director. But my journey took a dramatic turn in 2020 when I survived both cancer and a stroke. Those experiences shaped my mission, help others grow stronger in every facet of life. Today, I work with athletes, coaches, educators, and anyone who believes that positive mental health is both achievable and a personal responsibility. This podcast is dedicated to helping listeners develop a positive version of toughness, one rooted in resilience, focus, and growth. Whether you're looking to excel on the field, in the classroom, or in life, this is your space to learn, grow, and take action. Join me on this journey, and together, let's forge your mettle.